Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, we will learn how to set up routing between different networks in VMware Workstation. So as you can see from the diagram, I have three virtual machines running in VMware Workstation. I have the root, I have server 2, and I have server 5. And these are all in different networks. The IP addresses assigned are in different networks, but we will set up routing such that the three networks will be able to communicate with each other. So the root can ping server 2 as well as server 5. Server 2 can ping the root and server 5 as well as server 5 can ping root and server 2. Let's get into the video. So to begin, as you can see, I have the three virtual machines. They are Windows Server 2022 virtual machines running in VMware Workstation. So I have the root, I have server 2, and I have server 5. So I first will open my virtual network editor to view the configuration that I have here. So on VMnet 8, I have it on network address translation. And what network address translation does is it translates your private IP address into a public one in order to be able to be routed over the internet. So when I open the NAT settings here, I've disabled use local DHCP service to distribute IP addresses. This is because I will assign a static IP address to the root, which is 192.168.100.250. And my default gateway is 192.168.100.1. So let's open the network settings and verify that. So you can open it from this side, or you can click this Ethernet 0 to open the settings. So as you can see, I have the IP address to be 192.168.100.250, and I have 255.255.255.0, which is a /24 subnet mask, and my default gateway of 192.168.100.1 as we saw earlier. And I have my preferred DNS server to be 8.8.8.8. And as you can see from the bottom right, we do have internet access. So let me just open a web page to verify the internet. So let's go to yahoo.ca. All right, and let's go to google.com. Okay, so we have internet running. All right, so let me go to my roots and then run you through the settings that I've configured. So as you can see, my main network adapter for root is on the network connection network address translation. And I've also created two network adapters called network adapter 2, which is under the specific virtual network of VMnet 2, and also a network adapter 3, which is under the custom specific virtual network of VMnet 5. I will explain why I did it later on. And when you go to server 2 and check the settings, I have assigned a network adapter of VMnet 2, which corresponds to the network adapter created on the root, as well as when you open server 5. I've also assigned the custom specific virtual network of VMnet 5, which matches the VMnet 5 I created on the root. So to begin, let's assign IP addresses to server 2 and server 5. So the IP address of server 2, I believe, is 10.10.10.250. So we have 10.10.10.250. Subnet mask of 255.355.355.0. Default gateway of 10.10.10.1, and a DNS of 8.8.8.8. click OK, and assign the IP address of server 5, which is 10.10.20.250, 255.255.255.0, 10.10.20.1, and 8.8.8.8. All right. So now the IP addresses have been assigned. Now when we go back to the roots, go back to the network adapter settings. I like this view better. So we have our main network adapter, which is Ethernet 0, which is currently connected to the internet. We have the server 2 and server 5, and they correspond to the network adapter type created in server 2 and server 5 here. So what we will do is, for server 2, we will give it an IP which is the default gateway of server 2. So we have 10.10.10.1 and a subnet mask of 255.255.255.0. And also for server 5, we will give it the default gateway of server 5. So 10.10.20.1 255.255.255.0. All right. So now that we are done, let's test connectivity between server 2 and server 5. And before we do that, I must say that I've disabled firewall on all of them in order to enable our pings. So when we check the firewall settings, you can see domain profile off, private profile off, public profile is off as well. And it's same for all of the virtual machines. So now let's open server 2, open CMD, and ping 10.10.20.250. We'll make it a continuous ping, so you add a /t. Also open CMD and ping 192.168.100.250. Make it an extended ping, a continuous ping also. And then we'll do same for server 5. Open CMD, ping 10.10.10.250. Make it a continuous ping. Open CMD, ping 192.168.100.250. Make it a continuous ping as well. Okay, so now that we are seeing all our pings are failing because the connectivity has still not been established. So what you're going to do is to install a role in the server manager of root. So if you don't know how to open server manager, just click start and then you see server manager. Open it and go to manage, add a role or add roles and features. So let's just wait a while for server manager to completely open up. You go to manage, add roles and features, then click next. So we will install a role based feature. So click next, and then we are going to check on remote access. So what remote access does is it provides seamless connectivity through direct access, VPN and web proxy. So click next as usual, then check routing, which automatically adds direct access and VPN. So routing provides support for NAT, which is network address translation, or support for NAT routers LAN routers running BGP, RIP, and multicast, blah blah blah. So click next and then click install. So we will wait for the installation to take place and then we would configure it for routing. So let's check on our server 2. As you can see, the pings are still failing. Let's check on server 5 also. The pings are still failing, meaning we still cannot communicate between the two of them. So let's go back to root and wait for the installation to finish. So now that the installation is finished, we'll click close and click tools. Scroll down to routing and remote access. We'll click routing and remote access. So it opens up routing and remote access. So it says use routing and remote access to configure the following. And at the bottom, we do have network address translation and LAN routing as well. So right click on the root, which is the name of our server. Click configure and enable routing and remote access. Click next. So here we will click network address translation. So we don't want only the two virtual machines, which is server 2 and server 5, to communicate with each other, but we also want them to have access to internet as well. So before we proceed, let's check internet connectivity on both server 2 and server 5. So google.com. So as you can see, we do not have any internet access on server 2. Let's do same for server 5 as well. So we don't have any connectivity on either server 2 or server 5. So let's proceed with the installation. So click network address translation and then next. So here it says use this public interface to connect to the internet. So the public interface that is currently connected to the internet is Ethernet 0, as we can see from this side. So the access type internet, we have Ethernet 0, which is currently connected to the internet. So we would choose Ethernet 0. Click next. So select the interface for the network that will have access to internet. So you can either choose server 2 or server 5. Either of them, it's going to work for both. So click next. Enable basic name and address services. So next, finish. Now it's going to install some services, and then after everything is done, we will test connectivity again and also test internet access. Okay, so now everything is running now. As you can see from here, the green arrow shows it's running. So when we right click, we can disable it, which means it's currently enabled. Now let's go back to server 2 and voila, we can see our pings are working. Our pings to 192.168.100.250 are working currently. And let's also check on the pings to 20.250. As you can see, it's also working. So let's exit and then test it again. So ping 10.10.20.250. So as you can see, the pings are working here. Let's also end these pings and then try it again. remove the /t. So the pings are now working on server 2. Let's also open server 5. And as you can see, it's working as well. Let's end these pings and then try it again, this time without the continuous ping. So now we're able to ping server 2 from server 5 and also ping the root from server 5. Let me also test here cmd ping 10.10.10.250. It is working. Also ping 10.10.20.250. It is also working. So now let's check our internet connectivity. From server 2, let's refresh the web page of Google. Voila, we have internet on server 2. Let's also open yahoo.ca. Yes, it is working. Now we have internet on server 2. Let's try with server 5. Voila, we have internet as well as our pings are successful, and also yahoo.ca. Voila, it is working now. Finally, let's trace the path of the IP. So let's go to preset 10.10.20.250. We are going to trace the path of the IP of the ping from server 2 to server 5. Okay, so as you can see, so when we ping 10.10.20.250, it goes through the root, which has the adapter of 10.10.10.1, and then finally goes to 10.10.20.250. In the same way, when we trace route 10.10.10.250, it goes through 10.10.20.1 and then finally goes through 10.10.10.250. Our network adapters here are acting as routers as a default gateway. So we have successfully configured routing on the 3 virtual machines running Windows Server 2022. Thank you very much for watching this video, and see you in the next video where we'll talk about Active Directory and joining domains.